Hey everybody, it's Mr.S, and I'm here to talk to everybody about something that's very important to me, and I think that it's a subject that's important to everybody because everybody should know or has experienced someone with a disability. Now, the one thing that I think is very sensitive about the word disability and any kind of reference to someone that with a special need or anything is that culturally disabilities have been so negative and they've been taken into a light that is very negative. So people tend to be scared to hear the word disability or special needs because of what society had put on for someone with a disability for so long. Now, a little bit about my personal life. I actually have a mother who is handicapped, and I didn't really realize most of my life that my mother was handicapped because it was normal to me. It was normal to see my mom walk differently than everyone else's mom. It was normal to never see my mom run around or chase anybody or do any kind of extra physical activity. These things were normal to me. They never seemed abnormal. I didn't even realize that my mom was handicapped until I don't even know when. When I finally realized and sat down and said, my mom has a disability because my mom is such a strong person. But in society's eyes, she really shouldn't be doing what she's doing now because she has a disability. So that kind of puts her on a second track right away. And I think that that's just because of what we've all been taught and what we've all kind of learned. One thing that I think that's very important, and I think we all should learn about and kind of think about and reflect on, is that regardless of what is going on with someone, we all require the same basic necessities, such as care, love, affection, obviously food and survival things, shelter, whatnot. But what everyone needs is love. And that's really what they need to survive, is to have someone who cares about them, regardless of disability or cognitive ability. Everybody requires, in order to function correctly, someone who cares about them. And I think that once we really get that cemented in, the people will start to understand. One time that I was talking to somebody, and I realized because we as a society used to label people. We used to just not use like just labels as like, oh, the autistic child or the blind child. So we would set the disability before we even like consciously realized that there was a person involved. And when we use people first language, and I know a lot of people will tell me, and I've heard this before, oh, what does it matter? It's just words, it's just talking. Yes, but talking is how we communicate with people. And I'll give you a perfect example. If I say the black kid over there, people will instantly be like, oh, you didn't say that, because it's the same thing. We've now established, oh, this negative word, it's because some people perceive it as being negative, this negative word before we even acknowledge they're a person. Another good one is the gay man or the gay woman or the gay person. We use the word gay to define the person, and we use it as a word to describe. So it comes preloaded with a bunch of different words that just come to your mind, like people might think of it as negative. Oh, they're gay. Oh, oh no, I don't even want anything to do with them. Before they even realize who the person is, just because they heard that word before they even heard the word person. So here's a good example of what could be done. And I don't want to say should because nothing should be done anyway, but what could be done is, oh, this is my friend Sam. He happens to be gay, but this is Sam. And now we've actually established the name of the person. So this is Sam. Oh, I want to meet Sam. Who he happens to be gay because that's just what happens. Oh, whatever. Okay, it's not a big deal. Or here's another one. Oh, this is my friend Eric, who happens to be African American. And who knows? You don't even have to mention the fact that he's African American. It's evident, one, and two, who cares? He's a person. This is his Eric. Let's meet Eric. Let's find out more about Eric. It doesn't matter, or if he's white or if he's Asian or any kind of ethnicity, really. What matters is Eric, what does Eric have to bring and what can Eric offer me? And how can I help Eric? It's not about what Eric's background is. It's not about what, how he is and some things that he can't control in life because he's Eric. And so now we've established the human sensitivity side. Like we've established that now he's a human. Another one that I hear a lot, and this is in school, is big boy and baby and stuff. Because when we call a child a baby, and I'm even guilty for this too because it gets you so much that sometimes it's like the only way I can communicate with these children because they're at the point where how can I try to empower them, being a big boy or big girl because sometimes they just like whatever, and I get we use it. Now let's talk about what the effects of this could be. And one of the effects that I see very commonly is that they begin to use it against other children. So once they hear oh, you're a baby, you don't be like a baby, the second they get a chance to be in power, they're going to use that power against another child, and they're going to tell them, well, you're a baby. You're a baby. Ha ha ha, you're acting like a baby, you're crying like a baby. And that's where they get the power from us. We are teaching them to use these words because they got bullied and they didn't like it. They were like, oh no, I don't like that. So now they're using it against other children. So we have to be very careful about the language that we use around children because this language can actually affect the way they communicate with each other. Going back to what I'm talking about, disabilities. So I think the fact that we need to use people first language is important because that will help us talk and communicate and accept people first before any of their preloaded, whatever's going on in their life, all the things that are going on with them. What matters is they're a person, and we need to acknowledge that there's a person involved here. So let's move on. Let's use, this is my friend Frank. He happens to have autism. So now we meet Frank, and you know what? Frank has a lot to offer. Like I said before, he has a lot to offer us. Let's get to know Frank. And I think that's the benefit of having a inclusion classroom that I have children. I've had children in the past who have autism. And I think from what I've experienced, the children don't even notice half the time. They do notice if something's different, but they don't point it out, and they don't make fun of the child, and they try to play with them and accept them because they don't have this knowledge that this person's bad or negative. They think, oh, this is my friend Julie. This is my friend Julie, and and sometimes if the behavior is so out of control in the sense that it's hard for us as teachers to communicate with the child, and the child kind of goes off and does their own thing, then yes, we'll talk about what does it mean to be autistic? What does this mean? And so a lot of times I explain this to children well, let's just say our friend, it's hard for them to speak the language that we speak. We'll talk to them, but sometimes they don't understand the language. Like if I was talking another language to somebody, if I was talking to you in Spanish, you might not know what I'm saying. So sometimes it's hard for their brain to understand, and children pick up on it like that. They get it. They see the child get up and go to their thing, but they say, it's okay, because they speak another language sometimes. Sometimes it's hard for them to understand our language when we talk to them. And that's okay, because I'm going to sit here and listen, and it's okay if the other child goes. And I'm telling you, if you talk to children and be honest with them and communicate and not try to brush it underneath the rug, children will understand. Children will pick up on it. So I think it's important that we have inclusion, that we have children of all types working together. I do understand that sometimes if a child is severely disabled, it's going to be very difficult to include them in the classroom, but there always should be a way that they can come in for at least an hour to half an hour, to come with somebody to experience the socialization, to experience the communication with other children, because children learn from each other. It is proven over and over. Children learn from each other. They talk to each other. We learn from each other. We're people. We got to stop thinking of children and adults as different, because we're people and we learn the same. We just kind of forget how to be children. That's really it is. We grow up. There's not a point where you're like, you are an adult now. You are a teenager. You are this. It's kind of just, you forget or you let go because you start listening to things outside of your id and your ego. You start listening to the super ego, and instead of listening to your id, because your id's always there, you kind of put it in the back of your head. You don't really think about it. It's always there. So we got something, and children and adults are different, and start remembering that we're all just human beings. And there's not really a time when we change. We don't just metamorphosize and woo, mama, grown persons. It takes time, experience, and these are things we have to understand what if we want to have inclusion and acceptance and tolerance in our communities, in our schools, and in our lives. So, wrap it up. Everything together. Let's see. People first language. Inclusion is important. Changing the way we perceive disabilities is important. And moving forward and working together is important if we want to see change in our lives. All right, everybody, thank you, Mr. S. I'm probably going to continue this on later on. This is a very big subject. You guys have any questions about it, be sure to message me and hit me up.